Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I will be providing my review of the recently released book Star Wars Brotherhood by Mike Chen. This is a standalone novel in the canon for Star Wars set immediately after the events of Attack of the Clones. And the phrase that I use to describe how I feel about this book is a surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one. This book was not really on my radar. I enjoy prequel books. I really enjoy the prequels and the whole era of the Clone Wars. And so I've been excited to read more books about it. But it's not the era entirely that I say I need to have this type of book. So I haven't really been excited about it necessarily. And I hadn't really read anything by Mike Chen previously, so I didn't know what his books would be like. However, a couple of weeks ago, some of the reviews from some friends of mine who I actually agree with, I read a lot of reviews of Star Wars books because I'm, very much a part of the community, listening to reviews and podcasts and stuff. But there are two people who I find that I respect and also agree with a lot of the time. I don't agree with them all the time, but I agree with them quite frequently. And those two people are Matthew Rushing, who does a lot of podcasts for Star Trek and stuff. He also does Star Wars stuff, and also Matthew Wilson, who runs the Geeks Attic. And both of them gave this 5 out of 5 stars. And I thought, oh my, maybe I'm going to actually enjoy this. And then I pulled up the book and I read it all in one day because it was just a fantastic read from beginning to end. It was just a wonderful, wonderful read. And I'll get into the specifics, but I will not get into spoilers because, believe it or not, despite this being a book that takes place in between Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars, you'd think, well, we know where characters begin before and where they are afterwards. Oh, there are spoilers in this book. It's really good. So I won't do any spoilers. But to begin with, I'll say that Mike Chen nails the tone of the prequels. It is a very hard thing for you to straddle different eras of Star Wars because the prequel movies have a very distinct feel. The prequel TV show, The Clone Wars, also has a very distinct feel that is a little bit different from the movies. It still feels prequel-y, but it still has its own kind of distinct feeling to it. Then on top of that, there were in the expanded universe, in the Legends line, there were a lot of books that also had this very distinct feeling to them. And amazingly, Mike Chen blends all three prequel movies, prequel TV shows, and the EU Legends prequel novels, the tone of all of them, and it meshes into this one book, and it works really well. It's very self-contained. There's lots of references to things, but it's very much a self-contained book, and it has a lot of heart, a lot of messages and deeper themes, but it doesn't hit you over the head with those themes. It is a very political book while being apolitical in the stances that it takes, and yet is able to tell a fun adventure story. I was texting with some friends of mine and I said, this is a complex couple of episodes of the Clone Wars. This is too long to be a single episode. Maybe it would be considered an arc of episodes, but it is really complex because there are multiple plot lines going on. There are 5 point of view characters in this book. You have Obi-Wan and Anakin are the 2 primary point of view characters. They take up the lion's share of the point of views. Then you also have 2 more point of views, one from a Jedi youngling named Mil Alibeth, and she's a little girl who gets caught up in all of the adventures of this book. And then there is also a Nemoidian who is part of their guard, whose name is Rug Quarnum, I believe is how you say it, and she takes up a lot of the other point of views. And then there's a 5th point of view character, whom I will not reveal who it is because it is an awesome reveal in the book. For some reason, marketing decided to include that character's name and to be like, oh yeah, we did all this research and all this stuff, blah, 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 about the character. And I was like, why would you spoil that? it was a great reveal in the book when this character pops up. So there's a fifth character who is a point of view character in the book who is very entertaining to read. And so it's more complex than the Clone Wars would be, but it does have the same feeling that the Clone Wars has a lot. And it really straddles the Attack of the Clones feel with the Clone Wars because you see Anakin moving away from being a Padawan and moving towards being a Jedi Knight. You see him starting to take more responsibilities and see him passing on his knowledge in new ways now that he is officially a knight. You see his dynamic with Obi-Wan is changing in this book because now Obi-Wan can't just treat him as a Padawan, but as an equal. Yes, Obi-Wan is obviously, has more experience as a Jedi Knight. Obi-Wan at this point is starting to sit on the council more often, but they're both Jedi Knights. They're both equals in that sense. So Obi-Wan is having to train himself not to view Anakin as just this Padawan of his. And so there's some great brotherly dynamics between the two in this book. And then there's also the political. What makes this book so interesting is it explores Cato Nemoidia. The inciting incident for this book is a part of one of the cities in Cato Nemoidia is destroyed. Someone blows up the city in the prologue of the book. And all of a sudden, everyone has to react, and Cato Nemoidia is kind of neutral, but kind of not. It's really complex, and it never made sense to me in the Clone Wars show why the Republic let Cato Nemoidia sit on the Republic. It never made any sense. It does in this book. They actually explain it really well. And basically, the Separatists want Cato Nemoidia to join them fully, and the Republic wants Cato Nemoidia to either join them or remain neutral. They want one of the two. They just don't want him to go over to the Separatists. And so basically, Obi-Wan is the one sent to go over and investigate and find out who did it. And so there's an element of this book that is a whodunit mystery of finding out who set the bombs, who destroyed part of this city on this neutral world. And so that's Obi-Wan's thing. And then Anakin is basically has to train a bunch of younglings on a new task, but finds out he doesn't want to be doing that. He wants to be going saving Obi-Wan. And he has to recognize his duties and do what needs to be done with the younglings. So it's a highly entertaining book in that regard. And you explore the world of Cato Nemoidia so much. Cato Nemoidia, you see a glimpse of it in a few episodes of the Clone Wars, and you see a couple of shots of it in Revenge of the Sith. You really don't get much time to really get to know the people. And Mike Chen does a good job of making the Nemoidians themselves interesting as a culture and making their world feel more lived in and making it feel more than just the Trade Federation. He gives them lots of nuance. And that was one thing that I believe I saw some reviews of the prequels saying that they thought that the Nemoidians were kind of a racist stereotype utilized. And they're obviously not in this book. I think they're really well handled here. And so I really like the use of Nemoidians. And Nemoidians are not like, if I was going to choose, I want to read a book about this species, I would probably pick Twi'leks, because I find Ryloth an interesting culture, and I find Twi'leks an interesting species. But I would not say, yeah, let's do Nemoidians. And this proves that Star Wars has many places it can go, because if you can tell a story about Nemoidians, you can tell a story about anyone, and it'll be entertaining. The second thing this shows is that there is such a ripe area in the prequels for exploration, because this makes me understand Attack of the Clones better, it makes me understand the Clone Wars, the movie, and the TV show better, and it also makes me understand just the general era better. And yet I was wildly entertained by it. It's a fun adventure story. Some of it is kind of obvious. You kind of see where things are going at some points, but there were other points where I was genuinely surprised. I would equate this to, if you enjoyed the book Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray, I think you'll really enjoy this book. I think they both have similar tones, they both have similar dynamics between the main characters, and both of them are like prequel love letters, Master and Apprentice is more a love letter to Phantom Menace. This Brotherhood is more of a love letter to Attack of the Clones, and both of them came out around the 20th anniversary of their respective films. So I really hope that in 2025 we get a book that kind of does this, but with Revenge of the Sith. And so those are some of the thoughts. Let me make sure. I will also say that Mike Chen did his homework in this book. Because of all the references that are here, it would be very daunting to try to get all the details right, and he definitely does. To the point that there are references not just to Clone Wars episodes, which I thought were good, not just he makes a reference in a paragraph to Master and Apprentice, that was good. I caught one reference to Matthew Stover's Shatterpoint, which I thought was really interesting. And he also had a sequence in this book that really mirrored a sequence in James Luceno's Cloak of Deception, which is, and both Cloak of Deception and Shatterpoint were also prequel books in the EU. So he definitely got that feeling and the references and the connections and Easter eggs all right. It just meshed perfectly. And I didn't even mention Padme. I think that Padme is much better in this book than she is in the Padme trilogy, which is kind of controversial. But I really enjoyed Padme in this. She doesn't have nearly as big a role in this, but then again, she didn't have that big a role in her own trilogy. But I enjoyed Padme's story in here. There's also some great Palpatine moments, some great Mace Windu and Yoda moments, some great Coruscant exploration. I know a lot of people are like, give us an open world game on Coruscant. Well, that may not happen for a while, but you can read about some Coruscant, some underworld Coruscant, and there are some funny jokes. Like, if you're going to write Obi-Wan and Anakin correctly, you have to have humor. You have to nail the humor between them, and this book does it. Man, I'm just gushing about this book. I've had so many Star Wars books recently where I've been disappointed with them, but this book was utterly fantastic. I loved it. I cannot sing its praises enough. For sure, a top 10 Star Wars canon novel for me. Maybe top 5. I'll have to rethink about my order. But an excellent novel. Amazing job by Mike Chen. I will be looking into his other works, because if his other stuff is like this, boy, is he going to be a good writer. And I instantly want him to do more prequel books, because I think he has this intense love of the prequels that I don't think any other canon author has. Even Claudia Gray, who wrote the other amazing prequel book in Master and Apprentice, I think he loves the prequels even more than her. And so I want to see him get to do that a little bit more. So if you've had the opportunity to read Brotherhood, let me know down in the comments section below what your thoughts on the book were. And if you are interested in reading Brotherhood, let me know that too. Let me know when you intend to read it. Also, let me know if you have other prequel-related Easter eggs you noticed in here. I like to know those as well. What did you think of the surprise cameo? Be careful in the comments, please. I would like to keep that away if possible. But let me know down in the comments all your thoughts. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.